Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, if depending on when you watch this or whatever you may be watching it. If you don't know my name is Samuel Olekanma. Um, just a quick nugget number two in the series of my training that I'm doing. This is the second one. If you haven't watched the first one, somewhere along this platform, wherever you're seeing this, you may see the first one. I'm not gonna waste much time on this one. I'm gonna go straight to the point. As usual, I'm going to start with a disclaimer. I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a this, I'm nobody. Like I normally say, I'm nobody. Do not believe what I say. Everything I'm saying here is fictitious. If this, whatever I'm saying here happens to be something somebody know or happen to be some kind of resemblance or some identity or whatever, is just a randomness or circumcision. Because everything I'm saying here is fictitious. Do not believe me. I'm saying this for entertainment purpose only. Okay? Okay. I think I've taken care of that disclaimer so that everybody can know where they stand. That's the legal stand my attorney told me to maintain all the time so that I'll stay clear of trouble. I'm not talking about anybody. If it happens to be something that you do, if you want to change, fine. If you don't want to change, again, and awareness is there. But I'm not here to pinpoint or identify or talk about issues or people outside the platform that is necessary. Okay? I'm just trying to train those who may understand or this may help to do better in the career that I've spent over 2 decades. I have spent over 2 decades on. So I think I'm trying to give to the younger generation. Okay? Like I said, I'm not going to take too long. People criticize me for saying this so many times last time. So I'm not going to say it much again today. I'm going to be very quick. Still on the issue of words we use. It's a very powerful topic. Words can mean anything. As most of you know, I'm not a good fighter. I'm not that physically strong, and I don't do kung fu. I don't do magic, whatever. I communicate. I like to use my words to communicate. And that has helped me over the years. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize. Okay? I don't do kung fu here. I'm not a Jizu. I'm not Mike Tyson either. Or Holyfield. Okay? So I use my words. I talk to them. First of all, I have to talk to them nicely. Professionally. We are professional worker. We have to maintain professionality at all time. So one thing I'm going to do again before I start rambling, because I tend to ramble a lot to go across the mainstream, but again, I'm trying to put it together today. Again, back to the words. What I'm trying to say is using words. You see, we have some emails that are training dogs in our institution. Sometimes, whatever, in our house, whatever. So there's a word, the mechanism of that training of dogs sometimes apply to human beings. Because sometimes we share some commonalities with animals. I don't want to say we are dogs, but we share some commonalities. So how do they train a dog? You train a dog. First of all, I hope everybody's hearing me. If you're not hearing me, make a comment here so that I can increase the volume. You train a dog by reward. That's what they call reward process. If you tell a dog to sit down, you give him a food. The dog will understand that when you tell him to sit down, you rewarded him with the food. If you tell him to jump, he jump, you give him a food. If you tell him to, whatever you want him to do, you use food when he complies. So that makes the dog think that, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get food. If I do this, I'm going to get food. So whenever you tell him to do that, because a dog likes a food, he will do that with the anticipation that he's going to get a food. And usually the food is good. And he likes that food. So he'll do anything to comply to get the food. So that's how we train the dog. You use what they call reward mechanism. There's so many other mechanisms that I'm going to focus on reward mechanism. So in this case, a dog is being trained by rewarding. Again, I'm going to assume that everybody catching what I'm saying quickly. Sometimes people don't catch it. If you don't catch it so quickly, you are more than welcome to repeat this video off and on until you get it. Or if you see me, I will explain. So the same mechanism we use on reward mechanism on a dog, we sometimes use it on human. Humans have the tendency to do things based on what they like. They have a tendency to do things based on what they like. So what do we do? How does it apply in our profession as a correction officer, in our profession as a law enforcement personnel, in our profession as anything we are doing in life? Is that when we want to tell somebody to do something, we've trained to tell the person to do something based on what we already know he or she likes. Again, when I say he, I say a lot of he here. It's applicable to he, she, they, whatever. I'm just using one only. So when I say he a lot, I equally mean she, I equally mean they, I equally mean, whatever, it. Okay? For those who say, well, he's using he. No, I'm using everybody. Okay? So we use it as a human being too. We reward. So, for example, if you want him to do we tend to find out what an inmate like or what he appreciates to do, and we'll tie it to instruction we are giving him, and that will make him do it very well because he really like the thing he's gonna get. And when we link it to our instruction, it makes it perfect. How can I give an example of this? Okay, let me say. You take one of my library. I hope everybody like my library. Let me just give an example. There are so many examples, but it may take a while because I don't want this to take a time. Let's say this is a book. You want to give inmate instruction to read a book. You want inmate to read a book. You want him, let's hypothetically, I'm making this up. You want him to read a book. But you understand that also that he doesn't want to take instruction to do anything you tell him to do, but you want him to read a book. Okay? But you needed something for inmate to pick up something from here. Let's say this is a location. You want him to pick a location, go here and do something for you. So what you can say, using the same scenario I said, is that, okay, Mr. Joe Blow, please go here and pick this item for me. While you are there picking that item, I know you like to read a book. Check those books and see if there's a one you like to read. You see, I've tied that request to something the inmate like. And because he likes to read a book, remember, I know already he likes to read a book. He will jump on that immediately because he is going there to comply to, he's doing what I want him, but at the same time, he link it to something he like. So that's an example. It's a little bit of shrewd word. I think that will give you a glimpse idea of what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let me put it back where I organized it. This thing took me almost 10 days to organize that library there in sequence of what I need. So I don't want to mess it up. 10 days I should have been working in a jail, working overtime. You know what 10 days is? What have earned me in overtime. So you get the idea of the analogy. Okay, he do that for me because he wants to go there and search for his own book. So there are so many ways you can put it in a sphere. When you want him to do something, you link it to something he like. This will avoid conflict. See, they will make things run smoothly. You don't have to push him. You don't have to smack him. You don't have to put any too much pressure. It makes things work easily. Another one I'm going to share because I'm running this, like I said, quick, is whenever you give inmate an instruction, I know all of us carry ego, we macho, we physical, we like to show we officer, we have the badge. Always try to give a time between the instruction for the inmate to execute what you want him to do. we have the tendency to want him to do it immediately because we authority, we feel like we have power over them. Sometimes people have ego and people resist. People don't like to take instruction from nobody, talk less of from people they perceive as nigger from Africa. So when you tell him do something, do this is, try to walk away and give him a time frame. You see what I'm saying? Give him a time frame to accomplish that, rather than standing on his face and just watching him to see if he can do it or not. That will make him sometimes do what he's not expected to do, especially when he has his peers around, because most of the time they're responding not because of themselves, but just to prove to their peers, their friends, that they are strong. So sometimes you give them a time frame from the time you tell them, so that their ego, they'll walk it with their ego, whatever. You see, they'll comply, but they'll drag as if but they're doing what you want them to do. Rather than you standing on their nose and saying, that's going to make them react negatively, if not attack you, because now you're pushing their ego. That thing is, I can go 3 hours for that, but I'm going to cut that short. You get that point. Another thing quickly I'm going to say lastly about what is, if I'm trying to tell a mate to do something, let's say I'm giving him instruction and I want him to do something and I kind of feel that he's going to bark or do something negative, I remind him of that negativity before even he do it. Let's say I'm locking them up, I'm closing the slot in a hotel or whatever or anywhere, and I know he's going to hold the slot, and I suspect him tendency that he may try to hold the slot. I'm going to tell you, Mr. This or that, just in case if you hold this slot, this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do to you. This is what's going to happen if you hold this slot. In advance, I tell him in advance, before you do that, what this thing happens, most I discovered, this everything I'm taking is what works for me. It's not generalized. It's not perfect. It may work sometimes, it may not work. But what I have discovered that once I let them know in advance what I'm trying to do, they kind of think twice, because I kind of know already preempted what I'm going to do to them. So they wait whether they're going to deal with it or not. Rather than me acting on ignorance. If I'm taking on them, I say, if I'm taking them to shake them, whatever, I say, if you make a move here, this is what I'm going to do. If I find a knife here, whatever, and I'm trying to take it or try to search this, if you interfere, I'm going to do this. Let them know this has worked. When I let them know in advance, they tend to back away from doing that thing because they already know I know what they're trying to do. Because most of them are a human being today that even though they are strong or whatever, they're still afraid. They don't know what I have. They say, oh, this one, he already know what they will comply. Okay? So these are 3 areas in words that I believe if you implement it, it may help. Okay? Like I said, I want this as quickly as possible. I keep repeating the same thing. Lastly, I'm going to say one thing as a bonus. You see, sometimes this job we do is not about sometimes us. You got to have a team. You can be a good officer as long as without a good team, you are in for a rude awakening. I've discovered that the most biggest problem we have is working with a rotten team, a team that is not what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean by a team. If you're a good officer, this is not the job we do is not morally, it's really an individual effort. It's a team effort. In other words, you are being appreciated or rewarded based on a team effort. It's not like individual contest. So no matter how good you are, if the team is not up to the standard, it's still going to affect you. You may end up being a shit. Over my career several times, or not several times, almost all the time, most of the shit I am is not because of what I did. It's because of what somebody in my team did, probably I did not report it in time, or I didn't know, or I kind of didn't want to be the one to expose it. Most of the big shit I have entered in my career is because I'm there and I didn't what I'm supposed to do, or I kept quiet, or I know and I should have known, or I didn't want to report. So you have to try to work with a good team, and that's exactly why I'm doing all this thing, to expose where you can be, improve, and to help everybody be a good team player. Okay, and sometimes you cannot work all the time. There tend to be what I call like a dairy officers, or those bringing and that reminds me another question I'm a tired. Sometimes people think when they say dairy officer, it's a very interesting word. When they say dairy officer, people think who. Sometimes you wonder who should be a dairy officer. Every time we find contraband in a jail, different kinds of contraband, how does this thing work inside the jail? How does it fly into? Somebody brought them. There is no universal standard of identifying a dairy officer. There's no one magic bullet. With myself particular, there has always been one, over the course of my career, again, I'm talking about based on my experience, there has always been one key factor that has always stood out in all my career, how the modus operandi, or those that have been caught, operate, the dairy officers. A dairy officer is not somebody naive. A dairy officer is not somebody new to the jail. A dairy officer who is bringing contraband is bold, and he knows the inner out of the jail most of the time. Again, there's always an exception to the rule. The mistake people think that sometimes a dairy officer may be somebody new, or somebody maybe new officer, or somebody here. No. Record have shown me, again, I'm talking about myself, over a period of time, that those that has been caught bringing stuff or dairy in the jail are those that has been vested with trust by the system. Rookies don't bring contraband because they're timid, they're afraid. They may. But based on my own record of 2 decades, all the major catch of people smuggling in drugs are people of high ranking, sometimes supervisors, sometimes people you never expect. Because they are bold, they think they are invisible. And they end up usually being the one bringing contraband. So whenever you hear in a roll call or somebody, you're thinking maybe it's a rookie or maybe somebody, sometimes it's where you least expect it's happening. Because the person bringing it think it's invisible, think he can get away with it, and usually one day his or her cup is full and he's in court. So a dairy officer, it could be anybody. That's the point I'm trying to make. Most of the time, it's not somebody, it's somebody well trusted, well vested with power, that think he can do everything. And usually, let me give you another hint. When somebody comes to roll call and start talking, every time you see him, if you say, everybody bringing drug, I'm just giving another, because it happened to me before. If I see you if I catch you bring drug in this jail, I'll smack you, I'll do this, you, anybody that person is bringing a drug. That's why he's hammering. What people talk most, or again, there's exception, usually what they do. So when you see somebody always standing and try to act extraordinarily about some contraband, whatever, he just camouflaging. That'll give you a trick. I mean, this is a very psychological trick. When People always talk what they do, even the pastor in the church. Whenever a pastor is preaching about adultery, check it very well. That pastor is committing adultery somewhere. People speak most on what they are involved with. With that being said, I think it's enough time. Be blessed. I'll see you next time.